All right. Good morning.
Morning.
This, can you let us know what your name is and your title?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Prado, and I am the Director of Youth Education and Land Programs at Friends of the Desert Mountains.
Great. And how did you come to be the director of land management and youth education?
Well, I came to the Friends of the Desert Mountains by a kind of a long and winding, unconventional road. I started out as an attorney doing criminal defense about 20 years ago and did that for 5 years and really just got burned out. Um, Tried to figure out what to do and went into real estate for the next 8 or so years. And then there was a real meltdown in the market and had nothing to do, so I started volunteering with Friends of the Desert Mountains. And lo and behold, 9 months later, they had a position, and it fit my skills and abilities, and I love the organization, and been there ever since.
What do you do as a land manager for the Friends?
As land manager, it's really two things. I handle all the land acquisitions and transactions. So we operate as a land trust and we buy land for conservation. And then we also have to manage the lands that we own, which is currently around 16 or 17,000 acres. So we have to go out and check to make sure nothing bad's happening on the land and take care of problems.
And how do you do that with a cadre of volunteers?
Yes, yes, definitely. We have lots of volunteer help, which is fantastic. Um, we go out in the field to specific parcels on different days, usually whenever we can, and go check to see that there's no dumping or what the situation is in terms of invasive species or other problems that might occur.
Do you work with the trail monitoring that happens up in the monument? Or is it?
A little bit, not too much actually. We have a citizen science program, so I do work with volunteers on various bits and pieces of those things when I can, and I volunteer myself because I love doing that so much. So I end up giving a lot more time than my job requires.
So even though you're a professional, you still volunteer?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as a land manager, I know you do a lot of invasive species work. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so invasive species work is really near and dear to my heart, and if I had thought about it long and hard, 20 years ago when I was, weeding in my backyard garden when I was in law school and loving that a lot more than I was loving law school, I should have, I should have known. But yeah, we go out and find places that are, invasive species is such a pervasive problem that we have to really focus our efforts on the places that are most sensitive and that have species that are impacted, that are sensitive. And so we go to those places like the Coachella Valley National Wildlife Refuge and pull Sahara mustard, or we'll go into the Santa Rosa San Jacinto Mountains National Monument and pull fountain grass and get rid of tamarisk, and it's something I love to do.
Fantastic. And what would you say for folks wanting to start out in the natural resources, because you completely changed your career path? So what do you recommend that they start with and work towards?
Honestly, I would recommend volunteering because in that way you get a real sense for what it is you'd actually be doing. I came to it by that route, and I think it's a really good way to get your foot in the door too with different organizations and get to know some of the partner agencies. So, for example, Friends of the Desert Mountains, you don't just get to meet people who work for our organization, you get to meet people who work for all the different partner agencies in the federal and state and local governments as well. So it's a great opportunity.
Great. And Was there any certification that you received or went after you started your position, or before you started your position?
Actually, I did. There was an opportunity for volunteers to do a certified interpretive guide program through the National Association of Interpreters, and that taught me a lot about how to. It's basically how to interpret nature for visitors to natural lands, and it really taught me a lot about how to really communicate with people about taking care of their environment.
That's all great. Let's see. So, and you also hold a state certified applicator's certificate, don't you?
That's right. Because I love dealing with invasive weeds so much, I went out and got a pesticide applicator's license, which is required to spray herbicides anywhere in the state of California. And so that, even though I don't particularly like dealing with herbicides, certain weeds, you can't deal with them without it. And so in order to tackle tamarisk, which is one of the baddies out here, I needed to get that license and know how to do it right.
Perfect. Is there anything else you would like to say about what you do? What about the education part? Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so this is something I'm transitioning into right now, and I am loving it. I got into this job originally because of my, commercial real estate and land transaction experience, and and it's wonderful. It gave me the opportunity, but I kind of have been wanting to get away from doing the transactional paperwork and kind of boring stuff, and I'm seeing more and more of the importance in with climate change and just how kids are so disconnected from the natural world. I see more and more the importance of getting kids out in nature, doing science, and really finding enjoyment in nature like I did when I was a kid. I think fewer and fewer kids are exposed to that, and I think if we have any chance of protecting our environment into the future, it's going to require getting as many kids as we can out there.
That's great. That's great. How many again, Friends of the Desert Mountains is located at the visitor center off of Highway 74. Mm-hmm. What would you say how big is your volunteer team right now, and are you accepting new volunteers?
Absolutely. We're always accepting new volunteers. I mean, I personally will not turn away a volunteer who wants to pull weeds ever. So our volunteer corps at its height is usually around 150 volunteers, give or take. But in any given week or any given year, we have about 40 of those, and it varies seasonally because we have a seasonal population. But about 40 who are really active doing stuff on a monthly or weekly basis.
Wonderful. Anything else you want to say?
I just want to say, if you're looking at a career, no matter what it is, really try to go with something that that moves you, that is important to you, and that you really feel like is something you need to do, whatever it is. Because if you're following your heart, then whatever your work is, it's not going to feel like work. It's going to be fun, and you're going to, you'll be happy, and you'll make other people happy.
All right, Jennifer, thank you for your time.
Thank you.